Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased to introduce our host for this evening's ceremony, the Deputy Commandant of the Marine Corps for Aviation, Lieutenant General Terry G. Robling.
Thank you, and good evening, everyone, and welcome special guests, especially those in the back who either knew this was going to happen or was just happening by and saw all the great-looking Marines out there. We're glad you're all here with us tonight. Secretary Panetta, distinguished guest, on behalf of the Commandant of the United States Marine Corps, the 200,000 Marines who wear our uniform today, and all Marines, past and present, I welcome you to this ceremony and solemn remembrance of Marine Corps aviation. This week, and throughout this entire year, we are celebrating 100 years of aviation service. This is an unprecedented time for us. For the first time in our Corps' long history, our Commandant wears Naval Aviation's wings of gold on his chest. And while I take great amount of pride in that change, I also take note of what has not changed about our Corps in these 100 years, and that is Marine Aviator number 1, First Lieutenant Alfred A. Cunningham's vision that foresaw an aviation force whose sole existence was to be dedicated to the support of the Marine on the ground. Tonight, we reflect on that vision and upon all those who have gone before, who have given their last full measure of devotion in fighting our nation's wars. It is appropriate for us to pause and reflect on their sacrifice. And I can think of no better place than this hallowed ground. Joe Rosenthal's photograph depicted in this statue and Fleet Admiral Nemitz's words that uncommon valor was a common virtue have emblazoned in our collective memories what those Marines endured on that volcanic island. Every American who has visited this memorial remembers solemnly those 6,821 who perished at Iwo Jima. What you may not know of that battle, however, is that there were 8 squadrons of Marine Corps F-4U Corsairs that flew off of aircraft carriers on D-Day in February 1945. That was the first carrier-based Marine air support during a combat amphibious assault in history. Tonight, we take special pride in that legacy and a century of success in the air and from the sea. We admire those who answered the call, who went to our nation's wars for 100 years in their flying machines. They volunteered to serve and to fight, and they did not come back until their wars were over. Many did not come back at all. As aviators, the storied battles of our Corps have special meaning because we know what the supporting arm of Marine Air did in those faraway lands. Our predecessors landed on aircraft carriers during endless pitch-black nights with the wind howling from the sea. They attacked and destroyed enemy aircraft batteries and ameliorated Japanese forces when they made the mistake of trying to overwhelm our Marines on the ground. They provided extraordinarily courageous close air support to the beleaguered Marines at the Chozon Reservoir and once turned the Nakhon River red with the blood of a retreating North Korean battalion. During those dark days in Korea in 1950, one Marine remarked, "During the long reaches of the night and in the snowstorms, many a Marine prayed for the coming of day or clearing weather when he knew he would again hear the welcome roar of your planes." Vietnam was no different. During the 78-day siege of Khe Sanh, Marine aviators kept their beleaguered brothers resupplied and evacuated casualties without fail. Marine pilots and crew chiefs wrote the book on casualty evacuation, saving countless lives while exposing themselves and their aircraft to rescue their fellow Marines. This legacy of selfless service continued just weeks after 9/11 in the opening days of the war in Afghanistan, when then Brigadier General James Mattis called on Marine aviators to assault the enemy over 400 miles from the sea to establish and sustain Task Force 58 at a lone outpost known as Forward Operating Base Rhino in the heart of Taliban-controlled area. Those Marines personified audacity. It was only 9 years ago in the march up to Baghdad that Major General James Mattis insisted to his MACDAF battle partner, then Major General James Amos, Commanding General 3rd Marine Aircraft Wing, that the 1st Marine Division would be the most air-centric division in the history of warfare, calling on Marine Air to protect the division's eastern flank in one of the fastest combat movements history has ever witnessed. Then, after the fall of Baghdad, Marine aviators spent nearly 8 more years on call in the Al Anbar province. And today in Afghanistan, I read day in and day out the reports of the selfless heroism, innovation, and courage of our Marines. I am awed, I am humbled, and inspired at how well these young men and women have acquitted themselves. So while this is a time for celebration, it is also our solemn duty to pause and reflect on everything that the wreath that is about to be presented represents. To that end, we must rededicate ourselves to their legacy and continue to keep the faith every day and in every clime and place. I am honored to be joined tonight by our Secretary of Defense, a man who understands and appreciates our military heritage, and who, above all, is committed to our people in uniform and their families. We are grateful, Mr. Secretary, that you have taken time out of your incredibly busy schedule to help us celebrate, honor, and remember Marine Corps aviation. Ladies and gentlemen, the Secretary of Defense, the Honorable Leon Panetta.
Thank you. Thank you very much. General Robling, thank you for that very kind introduction and for your dedicated service to our nation and to the United States Marine Corps. I'd also like to acknowledge and thank General Amos. Jim, your leadership as Commandant has been truly exceptional. I'm grateful every day for the support that I get from this man, because he provides not only support to me, but the entire Department of Defense, and in particular to the nation. We are all truly fortunate to have such a skilled and visionary aviator in the role of Commandant at a critical time in our nation's history. Tamer, thank you for your leadership, and thank you for your support, and thank you for your friendship. Distinguished guests and Marines from generations past and present, it's truly an honor and truly a privilege for me to be here to pay tribute to 100 years of Marine Corps aviation. It's also a great privilege to be able to do so at the foot of the Iwo Jima Memorial, where this nation honors the service and sacrifice of more than 2 centuries of Marines. Tonight, we celebrate a rich legacy, a story that began 100 years ago. 100 years ago this month, when First Lieutenant Alfred Cunningham became the first Marine detailed to aviation. 1912, Cunningham flew the B-1, and I'm not talking about the bomber. It was the first plane that the Navy purchased from the Wright brothers. With all due respect to this first Marine plane, it was pretty bad. Even by the standards of the time, this machine was a real clunker. I have a feeling my kids' model planes held together better than this plane. It repeatedly crashed. It was rebuilt even before Cunningham started flying it. Parts would vibrate loose. The propeller shaft did not fit. The engine never delivered enough power to fly safely in anything but smooth weather. It eventually became impossible to climb over a few hundred feet with a passenger. Nevertheless, Like a good Marine, Cunningham flew that piece of junk for nearly 400 times. Only a Marine would love to fly that damn plane. Actually, Marines were the only ones even willing to leave the ground on it, which says a lot about the Marines. Hap Arnold, the future commanding general of the U.S. Army Air Forces during World War II, took one look at the plane and bluntly told Cunningham that no Army flyer would take off in it. It turns out that Arnold wasn't the only person to express that concern. In August 1913, Cunningham requested to be detached from flight duty for one simple reason. As he put it, "My fiancée will not consent to marry me unless I give up flying." Sure enough, Cunningham detached from flight duty, but after they were married, his wife relented to his appeals and he returned to flying. Bless those tolerating spouses. That story reminds all of us that Marine aviators could not do their job without the love and support of family. Even with better equipment and more advanced technologies than that clunker I talked about a century ago, our aviators still take incredible risks in order to defend our country. Let me thank all of the family members who are here and who are around the world. All of them make it possible for Marine aviation to continue to perform its essential mission for our country. Your love, your support, your incredible loyalty, all of that is so critical to our ability to keep America safe. From the very beginning, the spirit of courage, the spirit of determination, exemplified by Alfred Cunningham, has been the legacy of Marine aviation. It is a spirit driven by a mission to project power from ship to shore and support Marines on the ground. It is a spirit that has guided Marine pilots to achieve the unthinkable and dare the impossible with their aircraft. That has been true from the raids at the end of World War I to the Marine aces taking out Zeros and conducting strafing runs across the Pacific during World War II, to night defenses in Korea, to enemy assaults and daring rescues in Vietnam, to the present days in Iraq and Afghanistan. We thank God. We thank God for the Marine pilots from Camp Leatherneck who support our troops on the ground and deal the enemy a heavy blow. From one generation to the next, Marine pilots passed down their legendary fighting spirit from one pilot to another, telling them, if you're not getting mud on your windshield, you're flying too high. Today's pilots not only carry forward that fighting spirit, but also a legacy of innovation to ensure our military can adapt to any situation, anytime, anywhere. We all know that Marine Air provides an agile and flexible forward presence, but there's nothing like seeing all of that up close. In the new defense strategy that we established for our Defense Department and for our force of the 21st century, that kind of agility is absolutely critical to our ability to succeed and to win. In March, I had the opportunity to visit the historic amphibious ship, the USS Peleliu, and watch operations of the 15th Marine Expeditionary Unit. Peleliu has deployed time and time and time again across the globe, supporting Marines ready to engage any adversary. During the first insertion of conventional forces into Afghanistan in November 2001, it was Marines from the Peleliu that launched a Super Cobra and Huey helicopters and conducted one of the longest and most dramatic amphibious landings in the history of the Marine Corps. During my visit aboard the USS Peleliu, I had the opportunity to personally clear a Harrier for takeoff and communicate with the pilots and nearly get blown off the deck. That experience reinforced for me the need for this unique vertical takeoff and landing capability that we need in the future, because it gives us the ability to take the fight to the enemy on short notice and with overwhelming firepower. That's the reason the Department is pushing ahead with the development of the world's first supersonic stealth aircraft with short takeoff and vertical landing capabilities. Earlier this year, I took the Stovall off probation because the Stovall was meeting its requirements. The Marines need a fifth-generation fighter for the future, and they will have it. Since becoming Secretary of Defense, I've also had the opportunity to take multiple MV-22 Osprey rides. In Ospreys, I've landed on the shores of Camp Pendleton in California, near Ground Zero in Manhattan on the 10th anniversary of 9/11, and on the dusty plains of Helmand Province. That unique aircraft embodies the agility, flexibility, and innovation that are at the heart of marine aviation. And I have to tell you that you haven't lived until you've flown with Marine pilots who keep telling you not to worry when there are flashing lights appearing on the instrument panel. For all of these reasons, Marine Air is what we need for the future. It's about agility. It's about moving quickly. It's about being flexible. It's about adapting to the future. The future for our military and for Marine Air depends on innovative leaders. It depends upon our ability to think creatively and to maintain our decisive technological edge. There is simply no force in the world that can match the Marine Corps' ability to conduct agile and flexible expeditionary operations. There are no pilots anywhere that can match the relentless determination of Marine aviators to take the fight to the enemy on the ground and in the air. That has been true for the past 100 years, and it will be true for the next 100 years. In the movie, The Bridges at Tokyo-ri, the Admiral watches the pilots taking off for another dangerous mission over Korea and asks, where do we get such men? They come from the heart and the soul and the guts of America. To the entire Marine aviation family, my deepest congratulations on a century of unequaled success and sacrifice. In the last 100 years, we've gone from the B-1 clunker I talked about to Harriers and Ospreys and Hornets and Snakes and Hueys and 53s and the veritable battle frog. In the next 100 years, I have no idea what kind of planes or rockets or spaceships or fighters will be flying. But what I do know is that whatever the hell we're flying, in these next 100 years. At the end, there will be one tough son of a bitch of a Marine flying it. May God bless you. May God bless our Marine Corps aviation and our Marine Corps aviators on this 100th anniversary. And may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Now joining Secretary Panetta in the reviewing area are the Commandant of the Marine Corps, General James F. Amos, and the Commanding Officer of Marine Barracks, Washington, D.C., Colonel Paul D. Montanus. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the laying of the wreath and join us as we pause to honor those gallant men and women who have given their lives in the service of our country.
Let us pray. And now we commend this service to you. God, having laid down this wreath, remind us of those brave souls who have laid down their lives, paying the incredible cost of freedom. As we return to the comfort of our lives, remind us of the Marines who have left those comforts and their lives to fly and fight for freedom in faraway places. Having honored our fallen, may the true meaning and significance of this solemn and sacred ceremony resonate in the hearts of those who are gathered here, in the hearts of every citizen of this great nation, and in its ingratitude and humbleness that we offer this prayer. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the retirement of the colors. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our ceremony. If you would like transportation to the Arlington National Cemetery parking lot, buses will be available shortly just beyond the parade deck to the right of the monument. Thank you for your attendance this evening, and Semper Fidelis. We hope your visit to the Marine Corps War Memorial has been a memorable experience.